The boy is kicked to the ground by his teammates. This adventurer named Kurt is forbidden from dining with other members, treated as lower than a mere servant in status, and constantly mocked as worthless by his companions. Kurt endures the humiliation in silence, yet after being exploited by these teammates, he ultimately gets expelled from the team. It all begins 3 days ago, with the entire village hiding in the local church, too terrified to make a sound. An S-rank monster named Fenrir breaks into the village. Kurt is knocked away while his companions rush to aid their leader, Golnova, in the battle, and no one cares about if Kurt needs help. In the end, Golnova slays Fenrir with a blazing sword. The villagers cheer and throw a big feast for the adventurers. Golnova turns up his nose at the food, asks Kurt to cook dinner instead, and tells him he must leave the team tomorrow. Kurt's teammates see him as weak, and they decide to find someone new. This brings us back to where the story begins. Kurt pleads with them, but Golnova just drags him out. Kurt has to go to the workstation to find a job. His confidence is gone after years of mockery and beatings from his teammates, and he grows more withdrawn as the staff tells him that all of his combat abilities are the weakest after the test. Normally, no sane party would take him. Kurt is troubled by the fact that he has been paid very little for many years of work, and all his savings are barely enough for 2 more days. Luckily, the staff is kind and helps Kurt find a temporary job. Kurt needs to be involved in the repair of the city wall, and the person in charge despises him, subconsciously feeling that Kurt is too thin to do this work that requires strength. 3 hours later, the person in charge is shocked that Kurt has done the work of 10 people alone. This is just the beginning, and Kurt completes a week's worth of work for the other workers in just 3 days. This job was originally set to take care of the poor workers, and if this continues, Kurt alone will be able to earn everyone's pay. The person in charge has no choice but to dismiss him. At this time, Lady Luck favors Kurt. A girl named Ulisha is in dire need of mining and could not afford to hire a professional miner. Kurt applies for this job at a low salary and he desires to get a job as soon as possible. Ulisha was not optimistic about him at first, as the boy is too thin, but she now has no other choice but to recruit him. After Kurt leaves, the staff at the workstation receives a huge remittance slip. This is the full payment for Kurt's work on repairing the city wall. The person in charge delays the payment because of limited funds, but now, the payment is finally made. Kurt knows nothing about that, and his talent besides combat is gradually revealed. In the evening, Ulisha invites Kurt to dinner. Kurt has always been looked down upon when working with his former teammates, and has never had a meal with them, so he is especially grateful for Ulisha's invitation. After dinner, Ulisha invites Kurt to sleep together, using the excuse that there aren't enough tents. Kurt notices that Ulisha sleeps without clothes, but being a gentleman, he sleeps outside the tent alone until dawn. In fact, this is a test Ulisha set for Kurt, and the boy successfully passes it. Kurt then begins to show his true talent. He digs up a lot of worthless crystals. Kurt processes these crystals into magic stones, which is a rare technique that is only possessed by a single-digit number of craftsmen in the country. Ulisha is very shocked, deciding to take the magic stones to the royal capital to assess the price, while Kurt stays behind to build the hut. At this time, Ulisha's identity is finally revealed. She was a high-level adventurer hired by the royal family, and even after leaving that position, she still has many privileges. Ulisha uses the portal with privilege to make her way to the magic shop in the royal capital. The boss, Mimiko, is a high-ranking magician hired by the royal family and a commander of the National Intelligence Organization. Mimiko's evaluation results shock Ulisha. The quality of the magic stone is very high, and its buyback price reaches 10 gold coins. Kurt has processed 50 of these magic stones, earning in one go a fortune that an ordinary person would take 10 years to make. Mimiko wants to recruit Kurt for the royal family, and Ulisha agrees to give it a try. Next, Ulisha, with curiosity about Kurt, finds the staff of the workstation, and after investigation, she learns that Kurt is a non-combat talent. Ulisha deposits the money from the sale of the magic stones into Kurt's account, and orders the staff to avoid revealing Kurt's information. When Ulisha returns to her accommodation, she finds that Kurt has built the house in just one night. The point is that Kurt doesn't think he's very talented, and thinks that it is just a normal ability that most people have. Because Kurt has been suppressed by Golnova for too long, he has strongly believed himself as mediocre. When Ulisha invites Kurt to accept an offer from the royal family, Kurt's first reaction is that Ulisha has been scammed. After Ulisha's explanation, Kurt finally stops doubting, but he refuses the royal family's invitation because he is not confident. Kurt enjoys his time with Ulisha, and for the first time, he feels respected. So Kurt is determined to repay Ulisha, and he finds a high-quality mineral vein. Under Kurt's guidance, Ulisha mines high-quality ore. What Kurt finds is even more impressive, as he digs up a large crate of mithril. This is a very valuable weapon material, and Kurt misunderstands that this is a cheap ore because he has no common sense, blaming himself very much for not being able to help Yulisha. After that, Kurt works harder until he digs up the legendary ore. Yulisha can't believe her eyes. Kurt operates like a cheat code, generating insane profits that give over 1,000 times return on every coin invested. After the commission, Kurt begins to look for his next job, and that's when he meets his former teammate Bandana. She is a thief by profession and is known for being very fast. Not long ago, Golnova encountered problems during the battle as Kurt stopped fixing his equipment, and he quarreled with the newly recruited member. His temper completely boils over. He disliked the cooking skills of the restaurant chef and refused to pay, so he is wanted by the soldiers. Seeing that the team has no future, Bandana quietly flees the group. She hides all this from Kurt, lying that she has also been fired. When Bandana learns that Kurt is looking for a job, she immediately recommends an atelier to Kurt. Kurt arrives at the location that Bandana has told him and meets an elf who is Michelle, the boss's assistant. Kurt's first task is to clean up the house, and the kitchen is brand new after his hard work. When Kurt goes to report to Michelle, he gets lost and breaks into a girl's room. Her name is Lisa Lot, and she has been weak due to a curse and has no appetite every day. Kurt feels very sympathetic to the unfortunate girl, and he immediately goes to prepare food. Just then, Atelier's owner, Ophelia, comes into the scene, and she warns Kurt not to leak information about Lisa Lot. What happens next blows Ophelia's mind. Lisa Lot takes one bite of Kurt's cooking and collapses in pain. Ophelia believes that Kurt poisoned her meal and is about to hunt him down, but then Lisa Lot's curse miraculously disappears. At night, Ophelia takes Lisa Lot to visit Mimiko and finds Yulisha there too. Their conversation drops a bombshell. Lisa Lot is actually the king's daughter with a neighboring princess, while Ophelia is her tutor. Someone's trying to start a war between the kingdoms by cursing Lisa Lot in secret, hoping her death would shatter the last bit of peace. Mimiko and Yulisha are stunned. They never thought Kurt would cross paths with a princess, let alone accidentally prevent a continent-wide war. But things stay tense. Every royal kid at 15 has to go on their coming-of-age journey, and the one who cursed Lisa Lot is likely to launch a sneak attack. Ophelia plans to start a new atelier and hide Lisa Lot there. The problem is that creating an atelier requires meeting many conditions. Yulisha recommends Kurt to take on the role of the atelier owner, and Ophelia is quite stunned when she sees the high-level magic stones that Kurt is working on. They split tasks after hashing out plans, and when Mimiko investigates who is behind the scenes, he discovers 3 suspects: the queen and the general of their own country, as well as a bishop of a neighboring country. After deliberation, they decide to set a trap to lure out the enemy. Kurt has no idea he's involved in such a huge affair. At this moment, Michelle informs him that Ophelia hasn't returned yet and there's no work available today. While eating lunch alone, Kurt overhears a nearby adventurer team discussing their need for someone to carry supplies, and he immediately offers to join. When the group doubts his strength due to his small build, Kurt proves himself by lifting 2 of their male members with ease. Kurt gets the job without trouble. The adventurers team consists of Danzo the samurai, Kansu the fighter, and his sister Sina the ranger. Their 4th member Bibinok recently fell ill and couldn't join this urgent mission, which is why they need extra help. To Kurt's surprise, they treat him better than he ever expected. Even when he makes mistakes, nobody yells at him. The kindness makes him cry. Back in Golnova's group, no matter how hard he worked, all he ever got was beatings and curses. The good times don't last long. While exploring the cave, they spot goblin droppings. The first few goblins they meet are quickly dealt with by Danzo and Sina. However, more goblin roars echo from the darkness. Just as things look bad, Kurt finds a hidden door. Only Sina and Kurt go into it to escape. Danzo and Kansu show true knightly spirit. They stay behind to hold off the goblins, giving Sina and Kurt a chance to flee. To their surprise, it's even more dangerous behind the hidden door. A dragon golem appears inside. At this moment, Yulisha takes Lisa Lot to the hotel where Kurt is staying. Bandana suddenly appears, revealing that Kurt is exploring the cave. After receiving the alert, Yulisha decides to go to the cave to rescue him, as she has heard that there have been a large number of goblins in the cave recently. Luckily, Yulisha arrives in time, and with her strong combat strength, she saves the dying Danzo and Kansu. Meanwhile, Kurt inside the hidden door is fighting against the dragon golem. Kurt isn't good at fighting, but he is good at disassembling and assembling, eventually breaking the dragon golem down into multiple parts. After the crisis, Yulisha invites them to join the newly formed Atelier. She needs Kurt's crafting skills to get the Atelier certification, and she also hires an adventurers team to protect Atelier. Everyone is happy, except for Danzo, who shows a weird face. Kurt and his companions head to a frontier city, where they will be staying for a long time. Kurt realizes that this is the very city where he previously repaired the walls. The wall repairs have come to a halt, and the city is filled with empty lots, no buildings. Yulisha tells Kurt to stay behind alone to construct the Atelier. She has been hired to protect Lisa Lot and is also in charge of organizing everyone's assignments. Yulisha takes the princess and the adventurers team to a nearby inn for a meeting. During the discussion, Sina is the first to raise questions, as she has noticed several unusual events during their past adventures. She recalls the time in the cave when Kurt, armed with only a short sword, manages to defeat the dragon golem. This feat displays strength that even S-rank adventurers cannot match. Sina is deeply curious about the true identities of both Kurt and Yulisha. Yulisha confesses her and Liselot's identities but does not reveal much about Kurt. The reason is simple. Yulisha does not know Kurt well, as they have only known each other for a short time. All she knows is that Kurt has average combat talent, but every other skill is at the highest level. A genius like that would attract dangerous people if exposed, which is why Yulisha has been keeping Kurt's abilities a secret. Another reason is that Yulisha needs Kurt to draw out the person who cursed Liselot. Danzo and Kansu are shocked when they learn about Liselot's situation. Both of them are very kind-hearted, which is why they sacrificed themselves to rescue Kurt before. They decide to join the plan to protect Liselot. Only Sina feels hesitant, worried that Kurt will bear too much responsibility and risk. However, after her conversation with Kurt, her opinion changes. Kurt enjoys the feeling of being needed. In his previous team, he was treated as worthless, and his confidence was completely shattered. Sina cannot bring herself to destroy Kurt's pure joy, so she decides to hide this boy's secret alongside Yulisha. At this moment, Danzo finds Bandana to purchase information. Bibinak is very skilled in disguise and often takes on illegal employment, infiltrating adventurer teams to cause chaos. Danzo is extremely angry, but instead of killing Bibinak, he only warns the bastard to stop causing trouble. After Danzo leaves, Mimiko's subordinate captures Bibinak. Bandana watches everything from the shadows, remaining as mysterious as ever. Danzo doesn't know all that has happened after he left. When he returns to the Atelier, his mind stops working. In just a few days, Kurt has built a luxurious manor. He even created a water supply system that can run continuously and magic crystals that provide long-lasting light. I believe that as long as Kurt is around, they could survive even if the world were to end. At night, Yulisha places an anti-curse talisman on Liselot's door. Unfortunately, Kurt mistakes it for malicious graffiti and cleans it off. Mimiko, who provides the talisman, won't be arriving for a few more days, and Yulisha is very concerned that Liselot may be targeted for assassination during this time. In fact, Yulisha's concerns are not unwarranted. At this moment, Tristan, the bishop of a neighboring country, is planning an assassination on Liselot. The chosen assassin is Kurt's former teammate, the high-ranking nun Marlefis. Tristan deceives Marlefis into drinking cursed wine. If Marlefis fails to complete the assassination within a month, she will die from the curse. Marlefis falls into a coma, and when she wakes up, a demon lord appears. In the following days, Liselot encounters no incidents, which leaves Yulisha puzzled. Mimiko and Ophelia have already arrived in the city, and there is no reason for the enemies to delay their actions for so long. During the conversation, Yulisha learns that Kurt has set up a special barrier around the manor. Anyone who is cursed within the manor not only remains safe, but the culprit of the curse will also glow, revealing their location. Yulisha immediately informs Mimiko of the news. During their citywide search, they discover a glowing corpse. They deduce that the culprit must have attracted too much attention, leading to their elimination by their superiors. At the same time, the monster army begins its siege. General Allraid, who is in charge of defending the city, is the same middle-aged man who had previously asked Kurt to repair the walls. The Lieutenant General Generic and Allraid are both serious, as they have never seen so many monsters before. Suddenly, an unexpected event occurs. As the monsters touch the walls, they are all instantly purified, and their first assault is temporarily neutralized. Allraid instinctively thinks of Kurt, vaguely recalling the special method the boy used when repairing the walls. The monsters come from the ruins in the west. The demon lord uses Marlefis as a sacrifice, draining her magic power to summon the monsters. Marlefis has already broken down. She never imagined that Tristan and the demon lord were conspiring together, nor could she have fathomed that she would become their pawn, sacrificed for their plans. At dawn, the second assault from the monsters begins. Yulisha has already come up with a solution. Kurt's craftsmanship is exceptionally advanced, and the magic stones he processes possess tremendous power. Yulisha asks Allraid to go outside the city to draw the monsters' attention, buying her time to reach the ruins and destroy the source of the monsters. Allraid worries that Yulisha might be in danger if she goes alone. He leaves Generic behind to act with Mimiko and Ophelia, while he decides to accompany Yulisha on the journey to the ruins. Generic wants to go on the mission in Allraid's place, but his superior firmly refuses. Before parting, the two soldiers promise each other that once the battle is over, they will drink together until they are completely drunk. Taking advantage of the slower movements of the monsters at dawn, they each begin their missions. With just a single magic stone, Yulisha wipes out a large number of monsters, once again proving Kurt's extraordinary talent. At this moment, Kurt feels frustrated because he is unable to fight. To take his mind off things, he forges a sword. Just then, Lisa Lott comes to invite Kurt for lunch, and he casually hands the sword to her. Lisa Lott is overjoyed and firmly believes the gift is Kurt's way of confessing his feelings. In reality, Kurt is innocent that he does not even realize how talented he is, let alone understand what it means to fall in love. Right now, all he wants is to go help Yulisha. Lisa Lott feels the same way. She wants to fight alongside her companions too. After a brief discussion, Kurt and Lisa Lott decide to set out immediately to catch up with Yulisha. Things are serious near the ruins. Yulisha and Allraid are surrounded by monsters, their bodies covered in wounds, and they are on the verge of collapse. Fortunately, at this critical moment, Kansu arrives with the adventurers team to provide support, and the battle temporarily shifts in their favor. Next, Kansu and his team take charge of eliminating part of the monsters. Meanwhile, Yulisha and Allraid head deeper into the ruins to search for the source of the monsters. What they do not realize is that their entire operation is already under the watchful eye of the Demon Lord. Marlefis is on the verge of death, and the Demon Lord decides to confront Yulisha personally. A bizarre scene unfolds as the Demon Lord makes no attempt to dodge and instead endures Allraid's attacks with ease. For the first time, the magic stone crafted by Kurt fails to destroy a monster. The Demon Lord gains the ability to regenerate infinitely by continuously absorbing Marlefis' magical energy. The problem is, despite its immense strength, it chooses not to use its full power to defeat the enemy. Instead, the Demon Lord begins a psychological battle, showing Yulisha images of Kansu and Generic in danger, attempting to break her spirit. At this moment, the boy who changes the tide of the battle appears. Kurt digs a tunnel to bypass the monster army, and he sneaks into the ruins with Lisa Lott. Marlefis is very surprised. She doesn't understand why Kurt is here. What surprises her even more is yet to come. Kurt destroys the Demon Lord's magic circle, and Marlefis finally gets rid of death. The Demon Lord is no longer as relaxed. Without Marlefis' magic, he loses his ability to regenerate infinitely. Just then, Lisa Lott arrives to help Yulisha. Unfortunately, as soon as she appears, she is killed by the Demon Lord. The power gap between them is immense. Just as Yulisha is about to break down, Lisa Lott transforms into a butterfly and revives. This happens thanks to the sword Kurt crafted. The weapon is capable of casting illusions, and the Lisa Lott that was just killed was actually a very realistic illusion. The Demon Lord is fooled by the illusion, and Lisa Lott seizes this opportunity to use the magic stone forged by Kurt to destroy the Demon Lord. The crisis is finally resolved, and Kurt brings food to Marlefis. This boy continues to showcase his incredible abilities, using just a rice ball to break Marlefis' curse. At this moment, Marlefis finally realizes Kurt's strength. She deeply regrets having once underestimated and mocked him, just like Golnova did. At night, Kurt, acting as the chef, serves a celebration dinner for everyone. The food is incredibly delicious, and throughout the meal, no one speaks. They are all so focused on eating, fearing that if they take too long, their companions will finish the food before they get a chance to enjoy it. It is also at this moment that Kurt formally meets Allraid. The atmosphere at the scene is very relaxed, and they are unaware that there is still a dangerous figure hiding within the city. One day, the Atelier receives a request from a nearby village suffering from a drought. They need help finding a water source in a neighboring village. When Yulisha arrives, she discovers that the other village is also struggling with water shortages. Fortunately, the problem is quickly resolved. While helping villagers care for the waterfowl, Kurt accidentally discovers an underground spring and successfully creates an artificial lake, saving both villages from the drought. The village chiefs all praise Yulisha for her impressive skills, amazed that she is able to solve the problem in such a short time. However, only Yulisha knows that all the credit truly belongs to Kurt. As a token of gratitude, the village chiefs present the Atelier with many waterfowl eggs as a gift. At this moment, Lisa Lott and Allraid are reporting to Count Tycone about their recent monster-slaying mission. Count Tycone has already heard about the impressive track record of the Atelier Lisa Lott belongs to, and he is eager to meet the owner. He knows that any Atelier capable of recruiting a royal princess must be extraordinary. Lisa Lott is afraid that the truth about how they have been taking advantage of Kurt might come to light, so she refuses to introduce him to Count Tycone. Unexpectedly, Count Tycone is unable to give up and proposes granting the Atelier's owner the honorary title of Viceroy of the Frontier. This way, Kurt would be forced to make a public appearance. Unsure how to refuse, Lisa Lott turns to Yulisha to figure out another solution. At this moment, Kurt brings shocking news. One of the waterfowl eggs he previously brought back has hatched into a little girl who looks surprisingly similar to him. Based on all the information Yulisha currently has, she concludes that the girl is most likely a monster. In order to protect Kurt and Lieselot from potential harm, Yulisha decides the girl must be eliminated. The little girl seems to sense the danger and suddenly hugs Yulisha tightly, calling her mom. Her repeated cries awaken Yulisha's maternal instincts, leaving her deeply conflicted. Sensing her hesitation, Kansu steps in and suggests that he and Kurt raise the girl together with Yulisha. He believes that even if she is a monster, growing up in a loving environment will prevent her from becoming a threat. In the end, the little girl is allowed to stay and is given a lovely name, Akori. As a high-ranking adventurer, Yulisha remains very cautious. She first collects Akori's hair and saliva and hands them over to Mimiko for identification. Then, she instructs Kurt to prepare a room for Akori that functions like a secure chamber. The room is reinforced with mithril to prevent any chance of Akori escaping. What Yulisha does not expect is that Akori seems to possess teleportation magic. She suddenly appears out of nowhere at the farm where Yulisha and Kurt are working. Before they have time to investigate how Akori appeared, the farmer sends a request. This time, they need help restoring the pig's appetite. Kurt is not good at fighting, but his other talents never fail to surprise everyone. The feed he creates not only makes the pigs happy but also attracts an S-rank wyvern hatchling. Soon after, a female demon warrior appears with deadly intent, demanding they hand over Akori. Yulisha tells Kurt to take Akori and leave while she stays behind to fight. The wyvern hatchling seems to sense the danger first and escapes with Kurt and Akori. It looks like this wyvern hatchling has completely sworn loyalty to the delicious food Kurt made. Because the two sides are too uneven in strength, after several rounds of fighting, Yulisha is defeated. Just when she is about to give up resisting, Kurt returns riding the wyvern, bringing along a large herd of pigs. He wants to use the pigs as a distraction to rescue Yulisha. Yulisha feels deeply moved. She used to always face danger alone, but since meeting Kurt, she seems to increasingly enjoy being cared for. This makes her realize that she might have already fallen in love with this boy. However, the crisis does not end. The demon warrior soon catches up and tries to defeat them completely by unleashing a giant fireball. At this moment, something incredible happens. Akori's sudden appearance forces the demon warrior to abandon the attack and flee. This makes Yulisha feel confused. Could demons also have a sense of mercy? Kurt seems to have an idea. After settling Yulisha and Akori, he goes alone to search for the demon warrior and brings her back to the Atelier under sedation. He recognizes the horns on the demon warrior's head and remembers his best childhood friend, Hildegard. He knows that not all demons are evil. From the recent battle, the warrior could have defeated them with a single strike, but she suddenly stopped attacking and was seriously injured by the backlash of her own magic. Kurt wants to find out why the warrior attacked them. Soon, Mimiko brings the investigation results about Akori. Based on the current information, she cannot determine Akori's identity, but Akori possesses crystals similar to space magic. This magic has been lost for a very long time. To avoid unnecessary trouble, Mimiko suggests imprisoning Akori. After spending time together, everyone knows that Akori is a kind child and strongly persuades Mimiko to give up the idea of imprisoning her. After hearing this, Mimiko decides to trust everyone's judgment. After settling the matter with Akori, they begin interrogating the female warrior. Her name is Soulflare. She came to this town because Count Tychon had kidnapped Hildegard. She discovered that Count Tychon had been secretly investigating Kurt and his companions, which is why she paid special attention to them. By chance, she discovers that Akori possesses teleportation magic, so she plans to use Akori to rescue Hildegard. The reason she stops attacking is twofold. First, she fears her magic might harm Akori. Second, during the battle, she notices a griffin emblem on Kurt's short sword, an emblem that belongs exclusively to Hildegard. To prove she is telling the truth, Soulflare pulls out a necklace that also bears the griffin emblem. Kurt immediately recognizes it as something Hildegard used to wear and pleads with Yulisha and Mimiko to help rescue Hildegard. Mimiko agrees to help, but on one condition, that Soulflare must remain at the Atelier under supervision. After they reach an agreement, Mimiko analyzes the available information and concludes that Hildegard is imprisoned in a special room within Count Tychon's castle. It is a room that only Count Tychon himself can unlock. If they want to rescue Hildegard, they must find a way to trick Count Tychon into opening the door himself. Lieselot knows that Count Tychon plans to hold a 3-day celebration in town to honor the appointment of the Atelier's owner as the new governor of the frontier. Previously, she created a convincing illusion of Rikuto, a figure who closely resembles Kurt, to act as the Atelier owner and successfully fooled everyone. During the upcoming celebration, she plans to use the illusion again to distract Count Tychon. In the end, she decides to carry out the rescue mission on the third day of the celebration. During the first 2 days, she and Yulisha each take Kurt to survey the area around the castle. In truth, Lieselot has her own motives. She deliberately chooses the third day for the mission so she can use the festive atmosphere as an excuse to go on a date with Kurt and seize the chance to confess her feelings. As the festival begins, Kurt tells Lieselot that in the past, whenever there was a celebration, he always hid in the shadows doing chores for his companions. This is the first time he's ever enjoyed an event like this. Lieselot becomes furious after hearing this. She decides to make sure Kurt enjoys the festival to the fullest and makes up for all the happiness he missed out on. Happy moments always pass by like running water. Just as Lieselot is about to confess her feelings, Kurt catches sight of Count Tychoon's castle by the lakeside. A wave of worry and frustration washes over him. He feels that his abilities are mediocre and that it's his weakness that puts everyone through the trouble of making a rescue plan when they should have enjoyed the festival. Lieselot knows that Kurt's lack of confidence comes from years of being oppressed. She wants Kurt to understand that even if he is ordinary, he still deserves to have friends. Helping a friend through difficult times is, in itself, something that brings true happiness. Kurt is a little stunned. He never expected that someone as mediocre and weak as himself could have a group of friends who give their all for him without hesitation. This episode kicks off with Yulisha and Kurt on a field investigation. But, true to form, Kurt's gotta help everyone. Personality gets them tangled up in some serious trouble. A well-known chef in town is terrified of losing an upcoming food competition to a new bun shop, so he hires a few thugs to cause problems for them. When Kurt gets wind of the situation, he decides to team up with the shop owner to develop a new and improved bun to enter in the contest. As fans already know, Kurt might be useless in a fight, but he's a master in the kitchen. With his help, the bun shop easily walks away with the championship title. The sore loser chef is furious and sends his thugs to teach the shop owner another lesson, but this time they're intercepted by Yulisha and Lieselot, who teach the thugs a lesson instead. Not ready to give up, the chef makes a fatal mistake and tries to attack Lieselot herself. Little does he know, he's about to pay a heavy price. Lieselot is the nation's princess, and attacking her is an act of treason. In the end, the chef is sentenced to life in prison. When Count Tychoon learns that his favorite chef has been arrested, he's forced to find a replacement to cook for his guests, Lieselot and the Atelier master. Thanks to Kurt's stellar performance at the food competition, the Count's secretary recommends him for the job. Just as Yulisha and Lieselot are on their way to Count Tychoon's castle with Rikuto, they get word that Kurt is heading there too, as the new chef. Knowing Kurt's desperate need to be a hero, they start to worry that he's going to blow their whole rescue plan. And of course, their fears come true almost immediately. Soon after arriving at the castle, Kurt uses Akari's teleportation magic to sneak into the room they've been looking for. To his surprise, the person being held captive inside isn't Hildegard, but an old woman named Famel. She's Count Tychoon's daughter, who was rumored to have died years ago. After a brief conversation, Famel realizes Kurt is looking for Hildegard and leads him down to the dungeon. Hildegard recognizes Kurt immediately and puts all the blame for her captivity squarely on him. Years ago, she was accidentally poisoned, and Kurt's potion saved her life. But because he botched the formula, it permanently stopped her from aging. Meanwhile, Yulisha and Lieselot are sticking to their original plan. They use false reports of an intruder to lure Count Tychoon into the dungeon so they can follow him inside. With the Count's arrival, the truth finally starts to surface. It turns out that Famel has a rapid aging disease. To stop the world from treating his daughter like a monster, the Count faked her death. He then kidnapped Hildegard, hoping to use her eternal youth to cure Famel. Kurt completely misreads the situation, assuming the Count has a thing for young girls and can't accept his daughter growing up, and begins lecturing him on how a father should accept his child's changes. But that's not the end of it. Annoyed with Kurt's wild theories, Hildegard knocks him unconscious. Then, Famel asks Hildegard to kill her own father, Count Tychoon, because she didn't want her father to harm innocent people for her treatment. Even so, Count Tychoon couldn't bear to watch his daughter waste away and die. He had already made a deal with the Demon Lord. When necessary, he would activate a magic circle, exchanging the souls of everyone in the town for his daughter's youth. At the crucial moment, Famel suddenly regained her youthful appearance and stopped it all. It turned out that Kurt's buns had broken her curse. The Demon Lord, seeing his plan fail, revealed himself. He admitted that he was behind the curses on Lieselot and Famel, and even instigated Count Tychoon to kidnap Hildegard. His goal in doing all this was to ignite a war between the demon race and humans, using a large number of human souls to summon more powerful demons. Now that his scheme was exposed, he forcibly activated the magic circle, intending to sacrifice everyone to the demons. Within his magic circle, everyone's movements were restricted, leaving them to await death. Fortunately, Hildegard had knocked out Kurt earlier because she found him annoying. This made him the only one who hadn't entered the magic circle. His appearance diverted the Demon Lord's attention, giving Yulisha enough time to react. This time, Yulisha applied her experience from previous battles with the demon female warrior, unleashing powerful magic that quickly eliminated the demon lord. Before dying, the demon lord decided to drag Hildegard down with him, hoping to fuel the demon race's resentment towards humans. But he seemed to forget that our male lead always has an incredible cheat. Kurt's bread actually blocked the fatal blow for Hildegard. The moment he saw the bread, the demon lord's dormant memories slowly resurfaced. He realized Kurt must be from Hast village and quickly fled. It turned out that Hast village was always attacked by the demon lord. To avoid injury, the villagers had developed many ways to defeat the demon lord, including this attack blocking bread. Just when everyone thought it was over, the magic circle's power seemed to linger, and it began to furiously absorb its surroundings. The next second, something shocking happened to everyone. After the magic circle absorbed Kurt's buns, it completely vanished. Count Tychoon's secretary witnessed all of this and recounted the entire event to Bandana. From their conversation, we learned that Bandana had been secretly monitoring Kurt because he was more powerful than he appeared. His buns could substitute for living sacrifices and summon countless demons. Additionally, Bandana revealed that a quarry has a connection with the great sage from myths. At the end of the story, Hildegard's monologue revealed that she met Kurt 1200 years ago. It seems Kurt still has many unsolved mysteries. Congratulations, you've finished another anime recap on my channel. Feel free to rate it in the comments below. Judging by the ending, Kurt's story has just begun. I'm really looking forward to how Season 2 will unfold his growth. If you're as excited for Season 2 as I am, leave a comment. Also, my channel has many other fun anime recaps, and I hope you'll find some you enjoy. Finally, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel.